In a world that craves certainty, we often mistake it for truth. The need to be sure about our choices, our beliefs, our future can cloud our thinking, limit our options, and keep us from embracing the richness of uncertainty. But what if our desire for certainty is the very thing holding us back? On this episode of Mind the Gap, we explore how the search for absolute answers can distort our judgment, narrow our perspective, and even hinder personal growth. Drawing from psychology, philosophy, and emotional intelligence, we'll uncover how learning to live with uncertainty might just be the key to a fuller, freer life. Here's Michael.
The other evening, I was in the bar when I overheard two people reminiscing about the good old days. They spoke fondly of the village, recalling when life was simpler, people were kinder, and the world made more sense. They laughed about old songs on the radio, how people dressed, and how much better everything seemed back then. But as I listened, I couldn't help but wonder, were those days as good as they remembered? Or had time softened the edges of reality, turning hardships into nostalgia's carefully curated highlights? Radio stations thrive on it. TV stations called gold are dedicated to it, but are they just serving up leftovers past their sell-by date? We've all felt the sudden pull of an old song, the smell of an old school book, the flicker of memory that transports us to another time. Nostalgia can feel like a warm embrace, a fleeting but powerful connection to something lost yet profoundly familiar. But nostalgia is more than just reminiscing. It's an emotional force, a double-edged sword that can ground us in gratitude or leave us stranded in longing. The Stoics, modern psychologists and philosophers alike have grappled with the meaning and impact of nostalgia. Is it a harmless indulgence, a form of self-deception, or a necessary tool for making sense of who we are? In this episode, we explore nostalgia through the lens of Stoicism, emotional intelligence, and psychology, uncovering how to embrace the past without letting it define us. The term nostalgia was coined in the 17th century by the Swiss physician Johannes Hofer, who described it as a medical condition. Homesickness, from the Greek words nostos, meaning return home, and algos, meaning pain. Soldiers far from home suffered from an overwhelming longing for the past, often falling into melancholy or despair. While we no longer consider nostalgia a disease, its emotional intensity has remained unchanged. Modern psychology views nostalgia as bittersweet, a blend of comfort and sorrow, warmth and ache. Studies suggest that nostalgia can strengthen identity, reduce stress and enhance social bonds. But it can also distort memory, deepen regret, and create dissatisfaction with the present. As philosopher Søren Kierkegaard warned,
"It is perfectly accurate, as the philosophers say that life must be understood backwards. But they forget the other proposition, that it must be lived forward."
We look to the past for meaning, but our real challenge is to ensure nostalgia serves us rather than traps us. The Stoics had little patience for indulging in emotions that distracted them from the present moment. They urged us to focus on what is within our control, and the past, forever unchangeable, certainly is not. Marcus Aurelius, writing in Meditations, reminds us not to
waste what remains of our life in speculating about others, unless it is for some mutual benefit. Think instead of how you may make the best use of your own time. You can never recover another life, nor can you discover another world beyond this one.
For the Stoics, nostalgia could be seen as a form of attachment, a futile grasping at what no longer exists. Seneca, too, warns against getting lost in memory, saying that
every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end.
Does this mean nostalgia is a weakness? Not necessarily. But if we dwell on the past without using it as a guide for growth, we risk stagnation rather than progress. Modern research has highlighted nostalgia's surprising benefits. It can boost your mood, counteract loneliness, and increase positive emotions. It strengthens identity, reinforcing a sense of continuity in our lives. It enhances social bonds by creating deeper connections with others. However, nostalgia also carries risks. It distorts memory, often making us recall the past as better than it was, leading to disillusionment with the present. It can become a form of escapism, preventing personal growth and adaptation. Nostalgia can amplify a sense of loss, leading to dissatisfaction with the now. Psychologists often refer to a psychological immune response, how our mind attempts to find stability in an unpredictable world. However, like any coping mechanism, its effects depend on how we use it. In times of uncertainty and turmoil, nostalgia often becomes a refuge. When the present feels unstable, chaotic, or frightening, we naturally look backwards for a sense of grounding. In our minds, the past becomes a place of order, simplicity, and comfort. This is why nostalgia surges during global crises, personal upheavals, or moments of collective stress. Familiarity with the past can provide a sense of certainty that the present lacks. However, this can also be an illusion. The past was not necessarily better. It was simply different, and the comfort we seek is often a product of selective memory. The challenge is to recognize nostalgia's function as a coping mechanism, while not allowing it to close our eyes to the opportunities and realities of the present. A healthy relationship with nostalgia acknowledges the struggles of today without escaping into an idealized yesterday. Instead of yearning for a past that no longer exists, we can use nostalgia as a reminder of resilience, the fact that we've faced challenges before and we've come through them. The past is not meant to be a retreat, but a well of strength from which we can draw courage for the present. Emotional intelligence teaches us that nostalgia is neither good nor bad, but how we engage with it matters. If we reflect on the past with gratitude, we gain perspective. If we cling to it longingly, we risk getting stuck. Mindful nostalgia, a term coined by psychologist Christine Batcho, refers to using nostalgia to improve health. We can acknowledge the emotion and recognize nostalgia without letting it cloud judgment. We can find lessons in the past, using nostalgia as a tool for self-reflection and learning. We can balance memory with action, anticipating the past but remaining committed to the present and future. The Stoics would approve of this approach as it aligns with the core principles of rational engagement with emotions rather than blind surrender to them. While nostalgia can be enriching, sentimentality can be its more deceptive sibling. Sentimentality often distorts memory, turning the past into an idealized fantasy. As C.S. Lewis observes,
"The past is frozen and no longer flows, and the present is lit with eternal rays."
When we overly romanticize the past, we risk losing sight of the value of the present. Leaders who cling to outdated ideas, professionals who refuse to adapt, or individuals who live through old memories rather than forging new ones fall into this trap. The solution? A Stoic reframe, using the past as a reference point, not a home. Engaging with nostalgia wisely means accepting without yearning, enjoying the warmth of nostalgia while recognizing that its power is in reflection, not in return. It means turning reflection into action, using past experiences as lessons for growth. It requires practicing gratitude for the present and acknowledging that every era will become the good old days for someone soon. And it necessitates letting go of what no longer serves us, identifying which parts of the past belong in the future and which do not. At its best, nostalgia can be a guide, a way to honor where we've been while keeping our eyes on where we're going. But when nostalgia turns into longing, we must remember the Stoic wisdom. The only time we truly have is now. As Seneca puts it,
"While we are postponing, life speeds by."
So let's remember fondly, but live fully, because the best way to honor the past is to build a present worth reminiscing about. What role does nostalgia play in your life? Do you find it enriching or limiting? Share your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who might need this perspective today too. Until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and as always, mind the gap.
Certainty feels safe, but as we've explored in this episode, it can also be a trap, narrowing our vision, limiting our choices, and making us resistant to change. The greatest thinkers, from the Stoics to modern psychologists, remind us that true wisdom lies in embracing uncertainty, questioning our assumptions, and staying open to new perspectives. So, as you step back into your world, ask yourself, where has the need for certainty been holding you back? And what might be possible if you made peace with the unknown? Thanks for listening to Mind the Gap. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and till next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and, as always, mind the gap.